Howdy folks, welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Today, you never thought you were going to see this coming, I'm reviewing the Panzer IV Schmalturm, the Panzer IVS. This is the Tier 6 premium German medium tank that I said I was never, ever, ever going to buy. And I still haven't bought it. This was actually gifted to me. One of my subscribers, Lieutenant Joker, has obviously heard me saying I was never going to pay money for this thing. And he's gone out and bought it for me. The bastard. So, thank you, I think, Lieutenant Joker. He bought me the experimental bundle, which included this tank and some gold. So now I kind of owe him a review of it. And the reason I said I was never ever going to buy this tank is not because there was anything wrong with it, but because I used to have this tank. Patch 7.5, I think it was, the Panzer IV at Tier 5, German medium Tier 5 tank. This was it, minus the side skirts, which are purely cosmetic. That was this tank. It had that turret, it had that gun. They took it away in patch 7.5, left it with the monumentally mediocre 75mm L48 gun, and put this back in the game, exactly the same tank with a little bit more health at Tier 6 as a premium, and said, money please. And I said, fuck you. And there ain't no way I am ever going to give you money to buy back a tank I used to have and you took away from me. And Lieutenant Joker obviously thought, well, we're going to fix that, Sonny Jim, and went ahead and bought it for me. So, but you know, that was the only thing I had against this tank. It's not a bad tank. I felt vaguely cheated by what Wargaming did with the Panzer IV at Tier 5. So here it is. I've got it. Is it actually any good? You know, it is. It really is. I mean, the reasons for me never wanting to get it were purely me being stubborn. Not because there's anything wrong with this thing. It's not a bad machine. You're not going to be winning any brawls with it. That's not the kind of tank it is. But that was true of the tank with this configuration at Tier 5 anyway. So what do you actually get for your money? And first of all, how much money is it going to cost you? Well, there it is. 3,750 gold, which isn't bad. Obviously, the Tier 6 version of this tank has more health, 730 hit points. But that is still at the low end of the hit point pool for Tier 6 medium tanks. If you look at the, for example, 3601H, even with the stock turret, has 760 hit points. The American Sherman medium tanks, they also have more health. The Jumbo, 760. The Easy 8, 750. So it's got a Tier 6 medium tank health pool, but it's a pretty slim Tier 6 medium tank health pool. It's not that heavy, 31.24 tons, and it does have the historical engine. However, this 300 horsepower engine, the Maybach HL 120 Tier M V12 engine, that's the tank that saw that's the engine that carried the Panzer IV all the way through the war. But it's not the best engine available for Panzer IVs in this game. If you go back to the research tree and have a look at, where are we? Panzer IV. There it is. It gets a 440 horsepower engine. This medium engine here, 350 horsepower engine. This one here, 320 horsepower engine. Even the stock engine on the Tier 5 Panzer IV, which is not historically accurate, has better horsepower than the engine available to this thing. So that makes this thing pretty sluggish. You're not going to win many races with this. Even with the 48 km/h top speed, it takes time to get there. It struggles going up hills. It's not particularly slow, but it is sluggish. The hull traverse, however, is pretty good. 36 degrees. This thing is quite maneuverable, but you're gonna don't try to. I'm talking about maneuverability here as if that's how you should be playing this tank, and it really isn't. But we'll come on to that later. Just remember that 36 degree traverse speed, because that's going to be important when we look at the turret. Now the armor is okay. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. It's definitely front towards enemy at all times, this tank. 80 at the front of the hull, 120 at the front of the turret. Hold down, you can do reasonably well with this thing. Hold down in a very long range, but 120, and there's not an awful lot of sloping on the front of the turret. The sides of the turret are only 60, so is the rear. The kind of games this thing gets into, 120mm of armour on the turret, you will bounce shots, but you will be penetrated as well, and you only have 730 hit points. The side of the hull is pathetic, 30mm, the rear 20mm. I haven't been able to confirm it, I have had a look, but I have heard that these side skirts, which were there to protect the sides from bazookas, shaped ammo, HE shots, spaced armour basically, they're purely cosmetic. They don't actually count as spaced armour on this thing, which is a shame. But armour-wise, definitely, from the front only. The sides are, and the rear in particular, are just utter garbage. Now, speaking of the turret, it has a 24-degree traverse. That was always the trade-off with the Panzer IV at Tier 5. To mount this L70 75mm gun and put this turret on, you had to give up turret traverse. But that's where the 36-degree hull traverse comes in. You really, and a lot of the time, need to use the hull traverse to get the gun swung around and pointing at the target, because the turret is just so slow. So that's what I was talking about earlier when I was going on about the good hull traverse. Not because it makes this tank a manoeuvrable dogfighter. Any tank with 30mm of side armour is not a dogfighter, but because it helps you compensate for the relatively slow turret traverse. View range, it's pretty good, 370. Nothing spectacular, but not bad either. Signal range, yeah, good enough, 620 metres. It's not that you can change it or anything, it's a premium tank. The equipment that it comes with is what you get, but it's not bad. Now, the gun. That thing. The KWK 44/1 L70, a 75mm long-barreled, high-velocity German tank gun. It's a really, really good gun. That gun at Tier 5 on the Stug is deadly. The only problem on the Stug is a limited ammo load. Here at Tier 6, it's still not bad. 75mm gun, 13.04 rounds per minute, very fast rate of fire. 150mm of penetration, which is pretty good at Tier 6. Only 135 damage. However, the accuracy isn't bad at all. In fact, it's very good, 0.35. The only real fly in the ointment is the 2.3 second aiming time. Now, those characteristics, the good frontal armour, the good frontal turret armour, the slowish aiming time, the good accuracy, the high penetration but the low damage, that dictates how you play this thing. This is not a brawling medium tank. This thing is a sniper. And the way you really should be playing this tank is to camp and snipe at the start of the game. Use your accuracy. Use the DPM. I mean, the DPM of the tank, if we have a look, 1,761 average damage per minute. Compare that to the 361H. It's 200 less. Let's have a look at the Americans. 2,000 on the Easy 8. 2,000 on the Jumbo. But this is theoretical damage per minute. Look at the penetration of these tanks with their M1A1 guns. 128mm. Better rate of fire, less penetration. Horrible accuracy. So this is why I always treat the theoretical damage per minute with caution. It's all well and good looking at the Sherman Jumbo and the Easy 8 and saying these tanks have got 2,000 damage per minute. Yeah, but first they have to hit the target with their 0.4 accuracy, and then they have to penetrate with their 128mm penetration. The Schmalturm Panzer IVS might only have a theoretical 1,700 damage per minute, but it's got 0.35 accuracy, so it's going to hit, whereas the M4 Sherman variants with their M1A1 guns are probably going to miss most of the time. And what it hits, it's going to penetrate because it's got better penetration. So this tank actually does its theoretical DPM, whereas the Shermans tend to not do the theoretical DPM. So that DPM is actually not bad. And that dictates how you should play this thing. Start of the game, play it as a sniper. Long range, boom, boom, boom. Wait until the enemy team have been thinned out, and then go in and start hunting tanks. Now, it's normally at this point where I start talking about crew training and equipment fit. But you'll notice that my Panzer IV-S does not have a crew fitted. You'll notice that none of my premium German medium tanks have crews fitted. And the reason for that is because one of the things that people get premium tanks for, the first being credit grinding, the second is for crew training. And I have to keep mentioning this every time I do a premium tank review, because there's still a lot of people out there who aren't aware of how exactly this works. What it means is, you'll see I've taken the crew out of my E50M. So they're sitting in the barracks. What I can now do is go to my Panzer IV-S and put my E50M crew in it. And I don't have to train them, which you would have to do with a non-premium tank. I don't have to train them to operate the Panzer IV-S. I mean, if I did that, then when I put them back in the E50M, I'd have to train them to drive in the E50M as well. That would be a ridiculous waste of money. You don't have to do that with premium tanks. You see, if I mouse over any of the crew, there's the E50M loader, and the pop-up tells me this crew member is not trained for the Panzer IV-S. However, he can use his skills and perks because he's on a premium vehicle of the right type. And that applies to all premium vehicles, whether they be tank destroyers, heavy tanks, light tanks, artillery, medium tanks, whatever. As long as the crew that you put in the vehicle is from the same nationality and tank type, so I can put any German medium tank crew into my Panzer IV-S, or my Panther M10, or my Panzer S35, and I don't have to retrain them. And the benefit of that is I can then, for example, take the E50M crew, play them in the Panzer IV-S, get the daily double crew experience, send them back into the E50M, play the daily double on the E50M, get double crew experience again. So effectively I'm getting the daily double twice a day for my E50M. Actually, I've got 3 German medium tanks, so I could get the daily double for my E50M crew 4 times a day if I decided to do things that way. So that's one of the perks and benefits of having premium tanks. So it kind of makes it pretty pointless talking about crew skills for the Panzer IV-S, because you're never going to have a dedicated crew for it. Or you could, but you'd be wasting the potential of the machine. Equipment fit, however, well, for this machine, medium caliber tank gun rammer, goes without saying. I've also fitted improved ventilation. At 2.3 second aiming time is a little, but vents 5% to all crew skills. It just improves stuff, or it improves everything. The view range of the commander, the loading time of the loader, the accuracy of the gunner, the acceleration and turning ability of the driver, everything. It's just such a good piece of equipment to fit. My 4th piece of equipment, I've gone with additional grousers. And that's something that you hardly ever see people fitting to a tank. The reason I've gone with additional grousers is because what they do is 10% better performance on soft ground and 5% performance on moderately soft ground. And that's because of the sluggish engine, the 300 horsepower engine. Now, grousers are quite a cheap option. You could, however, of course, always go for something like an enhanced gun lane drive to try to counteract that 2.3 second aiming time, but that's 500,000 credits. If you've got the money, by all means go for it. Another decent idea is a Camo Net. Because this is very much a sniper tank, certainly in the first half of the game. And the way you should, in my opinion, at least be playing this thing is in camo, sniping at targets that other people have lit up, using your accuracy, using your DPM, and then once the enemy tanks have been thinned down a bit, you break out of cover and you start hunting down the survivors. So those would be my recommendations for equipment fit. And that pretty much is the garage review. Let's see how this thing performs. And this is my very, very first game in the Panzer IV-S. I've got 7 rounds of premium ammo, which I keep for emergencies. Everybody in this game, with the exception of 1 Tier 4 tank destroyer, is Tier 6. 29 of the 30 players are in Tier 6 tanks. Now, decent matchmaking, but there aren't a lot of heavy tanks around. They only have 2, we only have 2. We actually only have 1. Our KV-1S is no use to us alive and spends almost the entire game AFK. So my first shot, unusually, actually hits, but don't worry, I make up for it with my second shot. There's a whole bunch of them running into the town. We've got a Cromwell and a 3001P in there. We've got a 361H moving up. We've got a strong force heading into the town, and we've got a decent blocking force down to the south as well. So I figure I'm going to head into the town, because there's not that many of us actually getting in there. Believe it or not. Oh, I set the P on fire. Oh, I do love setting tanks on fire. Can't get the killing blow, unfortunately. So, no more distractions, let's get in there. Oh, well, no more distractions, he says, and then takes a pot shot at an angled 361H at 439 metres away. That was never going to penetrate. Onwards and upwards. See, not many of us are actually getting into the bloody town. So, you know, somebody's got to do it. Fighting them off here, waiting for the Churchill 7 to get in. Got a hit on the Jackson, that's good. He's coming out again. Right, get another hit on the Jackson. Back off. Angled nicely. If I pop out to take another shot. Oh, there we go. Bounce one off the gun mantlet, which is always nice. Now this 3001D, he's not stupid, he knows I'm here. He's taking pot shots at the 3001P next to me. And I make a dubious decision here. I know that there are 2 tank destroyers over there. One of them shoots, hits my engine. Get that repaired quick, take another shot on the way around. This 3002 manages to bounce his first shot, and now we've got him caught between me and a Hellcat. He's only penetrated me once. Angle, bounce again, Hellcat finishes him off. He starts raging in chat at the Hellcat because that's really mature. Put one into the Jagdpanzer IV. I'm on 58 health here. Hellcat takes advantage of the Jagdpanzer IV having fired and missed and kills him as well. However, look at the map. Now, our Churchill 7 has managed to finally get into the town. We've got a good force of tanks here. More than enough to deal with one Jackson on 20 odd health. And there you go, he's dead. So, everybody that went south has died. So I need to go back and help defend the cap. It's time for that Jagdpanzer IV on the hill up there to start earning his money. He's already gotten the kill by firing from the ridgeline. Now he's going to help reset the cap. SU-100 down there, running with his tail between his legs. He's never going to get away. Nope, there we go. Enemy Jagdpanzer IV finishes him off. Jagdpanzer IV up here takes advantage of the spotting that our dead SU-100 was doing to nail their SU-100. Now, to be fair to the guys who went south, they may have all died, but they did a lot of damage to the enemy tanks coming over from the south, as you're going to see in a moment. But it's 9 on 9. Well, it's not 9 on 9 because that KV-1S is no use to us alive. That's where he is sitting for the entire game. Now, I can't actually see any of the enemy tanks yet. We know they're not capping, but what I'm doing here is I'm destroying their cover. Those boxes and crates in the cap zone are no use whatsoever to the defending team. They're only there to provide cover for anybody who's capping. KV-1S has moved a bit too far forward. Myself and this Jagdpanzer IV are going to have him for lunch. So I'm using my APCR now because it's long range shooting and I need to hit and damage anybody who's capping, especially since I only have 58 health. I need to make each shot count. Which is quite ironic when you see what happens with the next 2 APCR shells from closer range. Now, we've got 3 guys attacking their base, which is being defended by a T-34-85. So I stop to tell them, cap fast. We will defend our cap. What could possibly go wrong? Moving around here, trying to spot. We know there's 2 of them sitting in the capture circle. It's the Jagdpanzer IV and SU-100, and I need to spot them, so our Jagdpanzer IV and APCR bounces, but his shot bounces off my turret. Jagdpanzer IV finishes him off. I'm taking a chance here. APCR bounces. And if APCR is going to bounce, then AP is going to bounce as well. But he's pointing his gun this way, which means he's pointing his tank this way, which means his side is exposed to our Panzer IV up on the hill, who makes certain of his next shot. Cap secure. However, look at the map. Everybody that went to Cap has died. So now what we're going to do? Well, 3601H, 88, T34, 85. There's really, it looks like it's 3 on 3, but it's not. It's not. It's 3 on 2. There's just me and that Panzer IV, because our KV-1S has been AFK for the last 7 minutes, and he doesn't come back. Now, he may be AFK, but he's still in the game, if you like. He's still got a view range. He can still spot and detect stuff for us. So with him covering the town, if you like, or at least spotting anybody who comes through the town, myself and this Panzer IV decide we're gonna head across the railway line. It's our best chance. So I'm moving up to spot. Panzer IV is getting ready to snipe anybody that I spot coming across the south. Because looking at the last known positions of the enemy team on the map, it seems logical that they would come this way. Now, if they do come the other way, we're screwed. Because the Panzer IV is now out of his sniping position on the ridgeline with all that nice cover he had there. But that's the chance you've got to take. And as luck would have it, that's exactly what happens. If the Panzer IV had been back on that ridgeline, Overwatch on the KV-1S, he could have potentially, well, he would certainly have killed at least one of the T-34-85 and the 3601H, possibly both. But we took the chance, and we got it wrong. So now this guy's, which way do I go? He's not in a great spot. He's got no cover down there. And I have to keep going. We have no idea where the 88 is, but it's not very fast moving. And the chances are it's coming this way because it's not very fast moving. But this was just one of those games where you look at the map and you make your analysis based on what you've seen. And you plan your next action based on what's most likely to happen because of what you've seen on the map. And it just doesn't happen. Not once, but twice. Guess where the 88 is? Well, we're going to see him in a minute. Any second now. There we go, 3601H, crests the ridge, Panzer IV spots him, starts shooting. 3601H goes for it, 88, pouring flanking fire into that Panzer IV. My first shot takes his tracks off. I don't want him turning that 17-pounder gun on me. Second shot, attempt to do additional damage to the tracks, but it just bounces, and I start putting fire into his flank. He's got his tracks back up, I need to take his tracks down again. We've lost the Panzer IV. We've lost the game. 88 disappears and then reappears firing at me. I get one into his Commander's cupola. I've bounced 2 shots here. I've been lucky. I should have been dead. But we can't. I can't win this game now. I can't cap because the 88 is covering the cap and he's turned his front towards me. So he only has to hit me and penetrate me once and I'm dead. I'm not fast enough to get back and reset the cap, and I'd lose that fight anyway. Against 2 tier 6 mediums, I only have 58 health. So, as I say in chat, well, that's us fucked. All I can do now is survive. That I can probably manage to do. 88 is not particularly fast. I'm saying he's probably not chasing me down, because he wouldn't want to get outflanked by a medium tank. But I've been wrong so far twice already in what I thought was probably going to happen, so I ain't taking any chances. I'm getting into some cover, and I'm just going to survive the game. So that was my first ever match in the Panzer IVS. So, my very first game, nearly 900 XP on a defeat, 43,000 credits, a 3rd class mastery badge, Numerous Battle Hero Awards on a defeat. Yeah, that's not bad. As for the team scores, well, the less said about those, the better. Although, to be fair to that Jagdpanzer IV, he did the best he could in a difficult situation. And, yeah, look at that. Nearly 1,800 potential damage received. That's the bouncers off the turret and the angled front armour. And, of course, over 2,000 damage done. So, you know, this thing definitely has potential. So, this isn't the next game that I had in the Panzer IVS, but it's the first game I actually won in the Panzer IVS. I'm playing on Circumflex's livestream. There's Circumflex's in his Cromwell. We're backed up by Fosh Yu. He's also in a Panzer IVS. We're here on Wide Park. And, yeah, I'll take that shot. If you're going to be that stupid, I will gladly put a shot into you while you're skylined on top of the railway tracks. So, yeah, Wide Park. This time it's a Tier 7 game, so I'm going to have to be a little more careful. And basically, I'm just looking for those opportunity shots. Trying to do as much damage as I can while not taking any damage in return. I know it sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised. So I'm going to be working this ridgeline. Now, bearing in mind the Panzer IV and the Panzer IVS does not have good gun depression, particularly down to the side. So what I'm going to try to do is use the cover of the railway cars and shoot under the tracks. Pretty much what Circumflexes is doing here in his Cromwell. That's a juicy looking KV-1S over there. I'm going to have some shots at him. Now, the benefit of doing this is that pretty much all they have to shoot back at is your turret, and as we've already established, the turret of this tank is pretty good. And as long as that guy's not going to point his gun at me, I am quite happy to sit here taking shots at him. Can I finish him off? Oh, not quite. Not quite, but we've done some good damage. And we've got this flank now. In fact, it's pretty fair to say that this team really kicked arse. And now I'm up here on the railway tracks. I've got superb flanking shots all the way down at the enemy heavies guarding the mouth of the railway bridge. I just can't penetrate this T-29. It is extreme range. And I mean, this is an accurate gun, but at this range you can't aim for weak spots. But I'm hitting him and penetrating and damaging with like every other shot. And then he gets finished off. Now, AMX-12T. Small target, very, very long range. That shot looked like it was right on target, but it just didn't seem to go anywhere. There we go, and we've tracked him. He's in all kinds of trouble. That one went wide. It's the first shot that's really deviated significantly from the target point, so I can't really complain. It's a bit of a smash and grab now. Although, you know, you shouldn't get too cocky. I've had games where I've been losing this badly and we've ended up pulling it back and winning. So, again, let's just, you know, marshal my health carefully. Don't take unnecessary damage. And go for whatever kills we can. Now it's their Tier 7s. There's an IS over there. There's an SU-152 with him. There's their 88. Don't want to be taking shots frontally at an 88 at that sort of range. The 88 will win. He can just basically shoot straight for my hull and kill me, and I pretty much have to hit his commander's cupola. So instead, we'll go for the targets that I know I can penetrate. Circumflexer seals that one. And now the 88's the only one left, and this game really was over very, very, very quick. But I'm showing it to you for two reasons. One, it's a Tier 7 game, and two, it's the first game I played in the Panzer IVS that I actually won. And I'm going full speed around this corner trying to ninja the kill on that 88, and I'm nearly, I'm too slow. You've got to be pretty damn quick if you want to steal a kill off Circumflexes when he's driving his Cromwell. So that was the first game that I actually won in the Panzer IVS. Didn't do as much damage as I've done in a lot of the games that I've lost in the Panzer IVS, but this game was a victory, so hooray! Right then, final match of the review. Here we are on Mines. It's a tier 7 game, but there's only 2 tier 7s on each side. There's a bunch of tier 6s, a bunch of tier 5s, no tier 4s, so it should be a good game. Now, bearing in mind that you really want to try to be using this thing as a long-range sniper at first, I'm going to head off down to the island, over down by H1, J1, K1, and try and get some long-range support fire going on anybody who tries to sneak around the river estuary, and some supporting fire on enemy tanks trying to take the hill. The bonus of doing this is it lets me actually reach that 48 km/h top speed, because it's downhill all the way, and it builds up a bit of speed and momentum for heading through the water here. Now notice I haven't been spotted. It's the benefit of using my E50M crew. There we go, finally they've detected me. So those KV-1s didn't see me. And now I've got some solid cover between myself and the KV-1s. Only showing my turret, but there's a lot of concealment between us. So, oh, spotted again. Let's back up, make sure those KV-1s can't shoot at me, and start leathering that T-29 and Panzer III-4. Back up a little. T-29's pointing his gun this way, and he's managed to get himself hull down. I'm never going to win that fight. Look at the rate of fire. Damage output, weedy. More than compensated for by the rate of fire. If you can get yourself into a position like this where you've just got targets and you can just keep shooting at them. Now the only tank I've got here with me is a KV-1S, but he's got a big gun. Nobody likes getting shot at by KV-1Ss. So I'm reasonably confident the guys on the island are not going to try to rush us, and if they do, the KV-1S is going to see them first. I just could not kill this KV-1. Sitting there on 91 health, but oh, hello. Now the KV-1s that came around the sandbar beach here finally grew some brave pills. The KV-1S nailed one of them. The other one decided, screw that, I'm getting out of here. KV-1S reloaded, finished off the second one. Keeping an eye on the map, making sure we're not being outflanked by those guys on the northern island. And I'm going to go for it. We've won the hill. There they are. I take a hit. I think that was the KV-1S. The Churchill doesn't appear to be interested in me. I need to get down below the lip of this hill, finish off the Churchill before that KV-1S reloads and comes looking for me, and then my KV-1S can give me a bit of support. Yep, here he comes. I know I'm going to take a hit here, and it did no damage. In fact, you know what? Let's have a closer look at that. I need to see what happened. Point blank range shot from a KV-1S. What happened to my turret? Did it just bounce? Let's pull to external camera here. Did we nail that Churchill? Here he comes. He knows he's got to come and get me. Where does his shot go? It bounced. It bounced off my turret. It actually hit the gun mantlet. Take its tracks. Get out of there. And reload. And finish him off. Oh, that was such a sweet kill. Unbelievable. Oh, there's the Panzer V. M10. Dodged his shot. He's got the same gun as I do. He's backed off behind that rock. There's just him and the ELC left. We know where the ELC is. I mean, what's the ELC doing over there? ELC camping the base. Really? Oh, and the Panther M10 is on fire, and he's gone, and that's it. Game over. That was a pretty sweet bounce from the KV-1S. He must have been cursing. Yes, I have you now. Bounced off the gun mantlet. That sucks to be you. And that Well, I'm not going to say that's the best game I've ever had in the Panzer IV-S. I've had better games than that, but I've lost them. That's the best game I've ever won in the Panzer IV-S. Confederate badge, 51,000 credits, 2,700 XP. There's the first class mastery badge. Most damage done. Didn't get the most XP though. That went to this KV-1 who played a great game. He got a load of spotting damage, so well done to him. And 28 shots fired, 19 direct hits. That's not what you usually get with this gun. It is very accurate, 0.35. But of the 19 hits, 17 penetrated. So, yeah, I mean, the gun's all right. The gun's all right. The tank itself isn't great, but it's got a good gun. So, Panzer IV-S. I'm going to have to give it a thumbs up, you know. It's a perfectly competent Tier 6 medium tank. The gun selection that it gets is the gun that you're going to be using on a lot of your other Tier 6 mediums anyway. And it's not bad. It's really, really not a bad little tank. And as I said earlier, the only reason I didn't buy this was because I felt cheated, because I already had this thing at Tier 5, patch 7.5, they took it off me, rebadged it as a Tier 6 and said, money please, and I said, I don't think so. And so somebody had to go out and buy the thing for me before I ever got around to playing it. And that really was the only reason I didn't buy this, because it is a good tank. 3,750 gold? Yeah, I'd say it's worth it. It's a Tier 6 premium. It doesn't have the same credit grinding potential as a Tier 8 premium, but you will make money on this tank. In fact, it would be very, very difficult to lose money on this tank because it's a good tank, and it gets that small credit bonus being a premium. And, of course, the ability to get extra crew training done for your other German medium tanks is always very, very welcome. So, yeah, the Panzer IV-S, good machine. I would definitely recommend it. I think it's worth 3,750 gold of anybody's money. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed the review. Thank you once again to Lieutenant Joker for making me play this thing. I don't actually regret it. It's been an enjoyable machine to drive, even if some of the teams I've had while driving it have been utterly pants. But that's not the fault of the tank. As always, folks, take care on that battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.